Welcome to the Signature Leadership Show. I'm Jamie Mason Cohen, and this is helping world-class leaders uncover their authentic selves through executive coaching and handwriting. My guest today is a good friend, a mentor for about 9 years now, literally sweet, generous, one-of-a-kind, Mark Bowden. He's the author of several books. One of them I have right here, which I played a tiny, tiny role in contributing to, which is Truth and Lies by Mark Bowden and Tracy Thompson. He also has one of the hottest shows on YouTube, actually all of social media now, called The Behavior Panel, with him and some of the world's leading experts on body language and behavior, analyze and really dissect trending conversations and news events of people you know. So check that out as well. Mark, thanks for being here.
Oh, Jamie, my pleasure. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Mark, what I'd like to do is jump right in and ask you, what is the positive change you want to create around a challenge or an opportunity that you have in your life right now?
Okay, so here's the challenge I want to bring to you today, Jamie. Just today, I received another YouTube award over here, 100,000 viewers. Literally, I'm not lying. Just today, this happened. So that's an amazing thing, okay? However, here's the thing. I committed, I think it was at the start of the year, like you do at the starts of years. I said, look, I'm going to make a new piece of content, my own content, every week. And I put that out on LinkedIn, and I try and be as helpful as possible. I'm trying to make helpful content around communication for people. And people come to me with this problem all the time. It's a perennial problem. It's really hard to consistently, continually make content, and I feel it as hard as everybody else. So I would love some of your insights, on what can I do to be more consistent around creating content. That's my challenge.
Okay, well, thank you. And I think that's so relatable. Someone who's had so much success both before COVID, during COVID, after COVID, producing content at the highest level is having this challenge. So who's ever listening or watching this, I'm sure can relate. So I'm going to put this back on you and ask you, before I give any insights, tell me about the best experiences that you've had in creating content in an effortless, it might not be effortless, in a consistent way. What happened there and what made this possible?
Well, here's what's interesting is the first 100,000 trophy that I got was with the Behavior Panel, which you were talking about that show. And what's great about the Behavior Panel is it's a group, it's a gang, it's a team, and we're social mammals. And for many of us on the planet, and it might be the same for me, though I'm a little bit of a loner and a little bit of an introvert rather than an extrovert, it is helpful to make stuff in teams. It's sometimes harder to make stuff as a team because you've got to keep the team together. But if the team is together, it's easier to make stuff as a team. So that would be my example, Jamie, of like when it's been easy. The difficult thing is keeping a team together. But if the team's together, just the work is easy.
Now, okay, considering what you've just shared, if everything went well as possible, what might success look like for you in, let's say, 6 months from now when it comes to consistently creating content as effortlessly as possible, given all of the different demands you have?
Well, I'd be back on the kind of, let's not say promise that I made myself, but goal that I had, which, so 6 months for a month is 6 hours. That would be 12. Oh no, hang on, 6 months at 4 videos a month. Yeah. So that would be 12 videos. No, it wouldn't. No, hang on. My math is all over the place there.
I didn't do well in math.
No. Well, I'm dyslexic, so the moment I'm seeing numbers in my head. Look, it would be 4 episodes a month for 6 months. I would have those. Those would be there. They'd already be out there. That's what success would look like.
Okay. Well, here's a few things. What I'd love to do is jump right now and look at your handwriting. Right. Even though we know each other, this is dealing with a specific situation. So the handwriting speaks for itself because a stroke is a stroke wherever you find it. So what I'm going to do right now as I'm talking is actually pull up your handwriting that you sent to me just before this so that we can see an example of what your traits might reveal about different components of, there we go, of your challenge. Now, I'm being covered, so what I'm going to do is actually put it beside me for a moment here, and that is going to help us see a few traits. Okay, so I'm going to be describing the writing, whether or not you can see it clearly. And the first thing I want to draw attention to is, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but you said you're more introverted. I would say professionally, you really enjoy collaborating with people who you instinctively or intuitively are drawn toward. I know that because of the way that you write your first name, Mark. It's broad, it's large, it's the signature of a celebrity. And I think a lot of people who know you would consider you that in terms of your charisma, your power. I've said to you before that, I haven't heard any speaker really amongst all the great speakers we know, and there's some fantastic performers who really resonate the way you do. So you love that collaborative component. And that's what I want to reinforce, even though you already know this, is an important component of how you show up when it comes to creating content. You're a great collaborator. Now, on the other side, what might be holding you back, and I'd like to ask your thoughts on this, is if you look at the I dots, the way you dot I's is quite almost like a fly. You're flotting a swai. It's almost like, I have to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and do this as quickly as I can and get it over with. Now, that might be, and there's no definitives in handwriting, right? It's not always this case, but you do it several times, and what that might be is there's a little impatience for mundane details, to the extent that sometimes you might not deliberately overlook the unimportant things, but they might just bother you. You'd rather just outsource them somewhere else. And if you have to deal with a bunch of mundane details when it comes to content creation, and as we both know, you know better than anyone, right? There is setting up the shoot, and there's editing it, even if it's just on your phone. And your production quality, from what I've seen in context, is as high as it gets. So you're almost creating regular professional productions with your team. And I know you do have a team, but what I ask you is there a way to build out this team a little bit more so that creating content really just comes down to your love for being creative, which you have those large, if you look at your lower loops, they're massive. Those lower loops are creative resourcefulness. So the ability to not only think with ideas, to be imaginative, but also in some ways it's to find novel solutions to new situations, and the definition of resourcefulness in terms of finding a solution where others might find it impossible. So can you keep the creativity? Can you keep the ability, the love of collaborating with those you feel intuitively with the breaks in your letter? You have several breaks, for example, in the T in the second line, and also the take in the second line, and also there's other elements where the pen comes right off the page rather quickly before the second letter, like silly on the second line. That's trusting your intuition when it comes to who you collaborate with. Could you keep that part, which I think you love or you like very much, and outsource other components so that you still continually reach that goal that you just set?
Yeah, I think this is what. Here's what this does for me, Jamie, is it causes me to think that the real issue here, in that you're right, absolutely. Like, I'm all about finishing. I'm all about getting something done. And so if the conflict comes in, the more people you involve, the less likely you are to complete. Now, there's a contradiction there, because I'm saying, look, it's tricky to produce such a large amount, and I know we can produce large amounts as a team, and as a team, what you have there is a sense of responsibility. You have a responsibility to the team to come, produce, deliver, and create something as a team. I guess the barrier for me is, do I want to be responsible for more people and have responsibility for the creativity of more people? If I'm on my own, it's my own creativity. If I haven't managed to find something new out of no, because the thing about creativity for me, Jamie, is it's like it's making something that wasn't there before. It's like it's making something completely new, something that wasn't there before. And when you try and do that with other people, it's another layer of responsibility because now they're trying to achieve that as
Now,
well.
you've probably already thought of this. What about AI? Is there a way to incorporate AI into what you do and still keep the essence and originality of your expertise, your one-of-a-kind skill set?
Yeah, well, you might have seen that at the start of the year, I did a whole bunch of stuff using AI on AI.
Yeah.
So AI was a great stimulus,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure whether that is now still anything that I would use. But it's a good solution. Still for me, it feels like the thing about responsibility. The moment you build a team, you have responsibility. Do I want another team to have more responsibility with?
Let's take a step back, closer to the beginning. Why is it important for you to create more content on a consistent basis?
Sales. It's as simple as that. My content, from what I understand from other people, and the reason I make it is because it's really helpful. I only make content that's helpful for people. The more helpful I am to more people, the more they buy what I have to sell. And I've got responsibilities, here for the company and everybody at home, and so there's a responsibility for turnover. And the more I can help people, the more that happens. So it's marketing, really.
What do you want to prioritize from where you are today to the future you've just described over the next 6 months to create on a consistent basis?
Well, I don't know the answer to that at this point, but I think it's my sense that the answer lies somewhere around the conflict of responsibility. But I don't know what the commitment would look like as to what I would do at this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I've asked you this in another way, but I'm trying to come from a different angle. So
Sure.
what obstacles might be encountered in this quest to consistently create over the next 6 months based on what we've just shared?
There are no physical obstacles. There are no the only obstacle now in my mind is the one of because I know the solution to creating more content. You just make it, and you don't care. You don't care about quality because you make it disposable. Because this is, what we're doing now is pop. What I'm making with you right now is tomorrow's trash. I'm not saying this is trash, but ultimately it will be forgotten. Anything stupid or idiotic or even really smart that any of us say right now will be in the the garbage bin of the digital garbage bin of tomorrow. Yeah, and so. And look how easy it is for us to make content together, because this is, we get on well and this is a good team. But then if you said to me, hey, Mark, would you take on the responsibility of doing this with once a week? It's like, I don't know whether I like you, Jamie. We're good friends. We get on well, but I'm not sure I can take that responsibility with you because I have so many other responsibilities. And if you were to say, hey, well, Mark, you could hire me, you could outsource me to help, I'd still go, yeah, I know I'm paying you, but you're still my responsibility. Just because you hand over money, it's still a responsibility as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so on that note, what you just said, because you've given me really some of the best advice I've ever received to get to where I started from zero, and in 5 years I have a career now as a speaker and as a consultant and a facilitator, and you are right at the top of the list of people who have influenced me, and I've come to you many times at milestones throughout that process for help. So what advice would you give me if these positions were reversed when it comes to overcoming that obstacle of wanting to create quality content on a regular basis for the purpose of increasing my reach in order to sell more as a speaker, as a consultant, and all the other things that I do if I were you?
Yeah. So here's what I would do, and it's maybe what the question is a good one because it's maybe what I need to go back to myself, which is the advice I consistently give people. And if anybody wants this advice right now, here it is the way you make consistent content is to understand this is pop and it's tomorrow's garbage. And it's not about quality. It's about getting it finished and getting it done and moving on to the next one and the next one and the next one, because it is by writing a lot of songs that you eventually maybe have a hit, that everything, falls into place. That you maybe have something that people go, that's brilliant and could live forever. And the rest of it, you've got to treat as digital, in this case, digital garbage. So, I probably need to just go back to that help, which I know has helped other people, and go, look, just make it, just create, and stop trying to worry, stop the worry that it's any good. It doesn't matter whether it's any good. That it being good, like the audience will decide.
Well, that's great advice for me. And for you, I think. It reminds me of, I just heard in the news this morning, the Toronto Maple Leafs got into the playoffs for the first time in almost 18 or 19 years. And one of the star players, William Nylander, is in a bit of a slump. And so they asked the coach, how can he overcome this slump? What's he doing wrong? And he says, no, he's actually playing well. He needs to continue taking shots. He needs to continue making quality shots. And eventually, some are going to drop. Some are going to hit the net and actually go in. And that's what I'm hearing here is we've got to create more quality shots in the form of content and find a way or a system to continually produce.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a great story that fits really, really well.
Perfect. As we wrap up, there's two last questions I want to ask you.
Right.
What are the next steps you most want to take when it comes to capitalizing on your strengths as a content producer to reach that goal of creating a certain amount of content over the next 6 months, even if you don't have all the answers now? What's the next steps?
Press record on the camera and start talking. That's
okay. I love the simplicity. And what did you appreciate or find useful about our conversation today?
Well, I mean, I think it's just having the time with somebody else talking out loud. And this is an interesting situation because you'll put this on the internet and people will either watch or they won't. And and so there's an extra, anything I say out loud here, not that I've been holding myself back from what I'm saying out loud, but anything I say out loud has way more kind of force to it because it's out loud so you can hear it and it's not just stuck in my head. So I think it's that classic thing of saying something out loud to another human being or potentially thousands of human beings that alters what's happening in your brain. It really does. Alters the way you're thinking.
You think, on that note, you think sometimes explaining your problem or your challenge out loud to other people can help in some ways give it clarity as to what to do moving forward?
Totally. To move it from the images and feel it. So, the brain there's a lot of images. The brain will put together stories, what's happening in a lot of images, and it'll attach feelings to them. And the moment you use your out loud voice, it's had to turn it into a series of phonics that create words that another human being could hopefully understand. And so there's a whole chain. I mean, it's like, that whole thing of, well, write it down. The moment something's written down, it's a different thing. Oh, we have it in a legal, you have it in a legal sense. All right, well, write it down and sign that then. It's like, well, isn't it good enough if I just say it and and you shake my hand? It's okay, but it's not as good as if you write it down, sign it, and then, everybody knows you did that. Everybody knows what was said. I think there's a fundamental difference when you say something out loud, for sure.
So say it out loud and write it down, which is what I love, because it's the signature leadership show, helping world-class leaders uncover their authentic selves with Mark Bowden. Mark, thanks so much.
My pleasure, Jamie. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.